Supply and demand chains are where multiple levels of supply or demand hold in the market. So the first example of this is where we see the extreme supply chain. So price comes down, taps into this supply, pushes down, creating another supply here, mitigates it, continues down, and we can see this whole time we're mitigating supply after supply after supply, all at the extreme. And the same here for demand, so we can see that we push up, tap into this demand, up again, and demand keeps getting respected. And we also have a decisional supply chain here. So we come down, tap into this demand here, push up, and then demand eventually fails, leaving behind the flip supply. Then the flip supply gets respected, pushes down, and then this supply that broke structure gets respected. And we can start to see a supply chain off of the decisional here, off of the flip zone. So for demand, we tap into supply, pull back, supply fails, and then demand gets respected, forming a demand chain. So if we look at this in the market, it will generally be supply chains get formed on the retracement. So here we can see the 4 hour is pushing up bullish, okay, and the 15-minute is bearish, and we're retracing here on the 15-minute, but we can see a supply chain has formed until we get down to the 4 hour demand, which then holds, pushing up, breaking structure, and this 4 hour demand then holds, but we can see that we are forming a supply chain down to this demand. And if you look at the overall, we can see that demand is in control up until we get to this daily supply. And as we are bearish on the daily, we can see we retraced very correctively, forming liquidity below here. So once we tap into this higher time frame mitigation, this liquidity gets taken and we continue with the bearish move. So you'll see this a lot across all time frames, and who's in control generally depends on the higher time frames as they hold more weight. So you may see supply in control for the short term, but for the long term, demand is in control, or vice versa. So in this case, demand's in control on the 4 hour up until we get to the daily supply. In the next video, we're going to be covering this in the live markets and looking at some examples of supply and demand chains.